Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of CJ's Coins and Crafts. This is part 2 of my 3-part series of the nickel. For part 2, I will be covering the Buffalo nickel through the early Jeffersons. And so let's get right into it. So on the end of part 1, we left off with the 1913 V nickel. So we will start part 2 with the Buffalo nickel that was minted from 1913 to 1938. The designer was James Earl Fraser, which can be found denoted by the letter F underneath the date. So we are going to take a look at the 1913 Type 1. So the 1913 Type 1 is what you see on the screen here. So the biggest difference between the Type 1 and the Type 2 is on the reverse for the mound. Underneath the Buffalo where it says 5 cents, the Type 1 actually is higher up on the mound. The actual 5 cents is not in recess but in relief. So if we take a look at the Type 2, we can see that the mound has been basically cut away and the 5 cents is in recess. So that's how you can tell the Type 1 and Type 2. Type 1 has the raised ground and Type 2 has the 5 cents in recess. So let's go over to one of the first varieties other than the 1913, and that would be a 1916 doubled die obverse. So this is the 1916, and you can tell that the date has been doubled. This is a picture of an example that was graded by PCGS. So that is what you are looking for, and also on this you can see the letter F underneath the date. That is the designer's initial. So let's look at our next variety, and this is going to be a 1918, and this is going to be an over date where the 1918 was struck over the 1917 date. So the original die had the 1917 date on it, and they reworked the die and had the 1918. So you have a little bit of the 7 left over. So let's take a look at our next one, which is a double die reverse. This is on the 1935. This is a PCGS graded example of what you would be looking for. Is you can see the splits as the heaviest splits on the E's to show you the doubling on the word 5 cents. You can see it elsewhere on the Buffalo, but it stands out most on the word 5 cents. So the next two examples are going to be the same kind of example or the same kind of error, and they are going to be on the 1936 Denver and the 1937 Denver. Now both of these errors have to do with missing legs on the Buffalo. What happened is that the mint overpolished the die. The die is associated with the 1936 and the 1937 that removed one of the legs. So on the 1936 Denver, on the reverse, you are looking for the error. It's called a 3.5 leg because the hoof is still present and part of the leg. It wasn't completely over polished or polished out until you get into the 1937 die, Denver. So on the 1937, you can also see the over polishing that removed almost the entire leg. So on the 1936 Denver and the 1937 Denver, you are looking for the missing front leg on the Buffalo on the reverse. So now we will be looking at a 1938. This is going to be an over mint mark, and this is going to be on the Denver, the 1938 Denver, and this is a D over S. So on this example, you can see the S that is underneath the D, and the D was struck over the top. So these are all examples that if you can find in high grade that are worth decent money for these, that you can compare to PCGS graded examples. If you go to PCGS's website and compare what you have to the graded examples there, if you happen to find any of these, I would probably consider getting them graded if you feel that they are good enough quality to meet some of the examples. But these are all things that you can still find in coin shops and pocket change, if you happen to find buffaloes, even in estate sales, that some people may not know the differences in the different varieties of our coins. So as we continue on from the 1938, we step into the first type of the Jefferson nickels. The Jefferson nickel was minted from 1938 to 2003, and it was originally designed by Felix Schlag. So the first major variety that we have for the 1939 is a double die reverse, which can be easily seen on the Monticello and the 5 cents on the reverse. This is something that you would be able to see without magnification. And in the example, you see all of the points where you can see the most doubling on Monticello and 5 cents on the reverse. The next example that we are going to look at is a 1942 Denver. What makes this variety special is that this is not a over mint mark, but a repunched mint mark. What makes this special as far as comparing it to other repunched mint marks is that the original strike of the mint mark is actually horizontal. So this is a D over horizontal D. This particular RPM or repunched mint mark was found on the 1942 Denver. Now, the important thing is that this is the 1942 Type 1. This is the earlier version of the 1942 before they started producing the war nickels. And that's what we're going to look at next. So in 1942, in late 1942, they changed the composition of the nickels, and it's what we call silver war nickels. So on October 8th of 1942, the wartime 5 cent piece was made of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. A larger mint mark was placed above Monticello. So in this example, it is the letter P for the Philadelphia Mint. And this is the first time that the P mint mark was used as far as a mint mark. Previously, the mint mark for Philadelphia was not used at all, and so if coins didn't have any mint marks, then it would be designated as a Philadelphia. The other mints, Denver and San Francisco, had D and S respectively. So the way that you can tell a silver war nickel or a war nickel is to look on the reverse above the Monticello, and to find the mint mark, you can find P, D, or S. So there are some varieties to look for in the wartime nickels other than being valuable in the sense of silver. And the first one that we are going to look at is a 1943 Philadelphia doubled I. So this is a DDO, or a doubled die obverse, where some of the lettering is doubled. You can see it on Liberty, the date, and In God We Trust. But one of the biggest things that you can see is on Jefferson himself, on his eye, that his eye is actually doubled. So if you can find these in good condition, these are definitely worth holding on to. So let's look at another double die. This is a 1945 double die reverse. So a lot of the doubling as far as double die reverses that you will find in the Jefferson Nichols will show up specifically in these areas. So the picture that you see on the screen is where you can see the doubling on a 1945 Philadelphia. This is a double die reverse where the doubling will show up on Monticello and cents. So then after in 1946 we transitioned back to the original 75% copper, 25% nickel with the original mint mark styles, which has the smaller mint mark on the right hand side of Monticello. So, and we do have some varieties that we will now look at, starting with the 1949 D over S. So this is a 1949 Denver, where it's an over mint mark where the D was struck over the S. And this is a also a PCGS graded example of what that would look like. The next one is going to be a key date. The key date for the Jefferson Nichols is the 1950 Denver, when there was only 2.6 million of these minted. So if you happen to find any of these in any condition, definitely keep them because they are worth more as far as being a key date. Now, if you can find any of these key dates or some key dates in an MS condition or AU almost in circulating condition, then absolutely look at having them graded because the value on them would definitely be there. So we will look at the next variety for the Jefferson Nichols, and the next one is going to be a 1954, and this is going to be a 1954S, and this is going to be an over mint mark as well, and this is going to be an S over D. So this is a 1954S with an S over a D mint mark. And then the following year, 1955, we have a 1955 Denver, where we have the Denver, the D over S. So I have recently actually found one that I believe to be this over mint mark. The way that I look at it is that there is a little piece on basically the top of the S, the serif, over on the northeast edge of the D, and then you can see where it comes down on the northwest side, northwest corner of the D. So I am working on getting that figured out, but I think it's a great find for something corner hunting. These are just a quick guide, or short guide, on what to look for between the Buffalo Nichols and the early Jeffersons. So this will complete part 2 of my 3-part series on the nickel. So stay tuned for part 3. If you guys like what you saw, please like and comment in the section below. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.